begin the current Daf Mesechtes Yevamos Daf Samachay. We begin 4 lines down at the top of the Yomim. The Gemara continues the related discussion of our Mishnah from our previous Daf regarding this halacha that if a man is married to a woman for 10 years and has not had children, then he should divorce her and marry another woman. So the Gemara continues regarding the payment of the ksuba and how it relates to the halachas of chazaka. Sure, it corresponds because of the chesed tongue of the today's Daf. So this is discussed in today's Daf are, like we said, various situations of a woman who does not have children and her claims for her ksuba regarding getting divorced. And also regarding whether a woman is obligated in the mitzvah of puruvu. Other valid claims of a woman for wanting children, that she also has rights that even though she might not be commanded in having children, but she might want to have children for other ulterior motives. So we begin the current Daf Samachay 4 lines down on top of the Yomim. It says the Gemara term in the Brisa. Nisis Larishim Lahoy Laban. So let's say a woman was married to the first husband and she didn't have any children. L'shein Lahoy Laban. She married to the second husband, also did not have children. Says the Gemara L'shlishi Leitinasing. And this is really the discussion we had at the end of the previous Daf, going on the top of the summit. Like we said from Rebbe, that you create a chazaka after 2 times. You're obviously a woman who does not have children, so she should not get married to a third husband because she can't have children. Ella, like what someone brought up the other day, Lamisha Yeshtaban. If someone has children, so then there's no issur in marrying even the islandess. As long as he has children, he can marry her. Now this is Lamisha Labanim. Let's say she gets married to her third husband who does not have any children, a bachelor, Teitzim Lake Suba, then he divorces her without a ksuba. Now Taisus explains from the Ri that it's talking about what's called the Shalei Hikarba. He didn't know this, that she had this past history of being married to 2 men without any children. And the reason why she goes out without a ksuba is because of Mekach Tais, because this was a mistake. I don't have any children, and what do you mean that you're a woman who has a chazaka? But, however, when she has children from the 4th husband, then she could go back and claim from the 3rd husband, because obviously Gloy Milsa that it wasn't a Mekach Tois. That's how Tais explains this halacha, why she sent out without a ksuba, because it's a Mekach Tois. Now, Yeboilo, the following interesting question. Oh, you mean now it's Mekach Tois, Shabbat? How far does that go? I hear. Tate Sibble Kasuba. I hear good child. What does that make? If it makes a Mekach Tois, then you don't need to get. I hear. Says the Gemara the following interesting question. Yeboilo. Nisis l'shlishi. Let's say she gets married to the 3rd husband. And she didn't have children. Now, however, what's with her first husbands? Could they go make the claim that, what are they? Does? Why?
Because it's not a proven fact that she's an Ireland. It's just based on a chazaka.
So, but it works enough to say that without a ksuba, you don't have to, because that's moitzi mechaveir, like azah, meaning. So, and they didn't have any children. What's it now that we, as the Gemara explains, why would we, meaning the first 2 husbands had to pay out a ksuba. Now, could they go try to reclaim their money? As the Gemara explains the question, so Amrla, could they tell her, look, Milsa, obviously it's revealed now, it's already 3 times the charm, to the garment. You're the one who caused that you are not able to have children, and therefore you should have to give us back our ksubas. Maybe she can tell them, no, now it's that I became weak. And first 2 times was not established yet. Like we said, the first 2 had to give the ksuba. But now that you have 3 times, which is already established a fact, so that would be the tzad to say that she has to give it back, or maybe you say, like a Pshimim Leil, or maybe you say that no, that as Taisa discusses regarding Isser and Mammon, that we differentiate if we go like Rebbe, or like Pshimim Leil. But now there's 3 times, we say maybe she should have to give it back. You obviously prove that you're not the one that's capable. Or maybe she says, no, maybe the first 2 times was you, and now I became weak. And therefore now it's already 3 times, but not necessarily that would be indicated. So that's the Mistaba logic would tell us that Metzisa Amalu, she could tell them Hashlu de Kachashi. That now is that I became weak, meaning as the Tesi Shalom explained, that it's effective at least enough regarding that the first 2 husbands cannot take back the ksuba money that they already gave already. Meaning it won't be effective to take out and collect the ksuba from the 3rd husband, but at least she's muchzik already in this money. She could make the claim that, no, maybe now I became weak. Maybe now I lost my ability of having children. But it doesn't prove the first 2 times, and therefore you already paid out, you can't go and recollect that money. Now, the following interesting question also, this is the Ravi. Let's say she gets married to a 4th husband. And she actually had by her fourth husband, she finally had a child. Now, could she go back now and claim from a third husband? She didn't collect the ksuba from a third husband because of chazaka, three's a charm. What do you mean? Obviously, I could have children. So it's you, so give me the ksuba. So we tell her, no, your silence is better than your speech. Why? Because the Motzi Amr law, he could tell her, hey, you're right. You're right, I never had that in mind when I divorced you. Had I known that you could have children, I would never have divorced you. Comes out actually that the get is batal mafreya, and actually comes out she's being mezana with her fourth husband because she's really still married to the third husband. So better be silent and try to get some money out of this, because if that's the case, that means I really would never have divorced you. So the Gemara doesn't like this, and the Gemara says, Masked Rav Papa. Rav Papa asked the following question, that if you're telling me that the husband could be mavatal the get with such a claim, so Ihi Shaska, if she's quiet, like we're telling her, shh, be quiet, you're going to start talking, you're going to be worse off. Anan Mishaskinan, are we silent? What do you mean? Most definitely you're right. He for that, he never really would have divorced her. And now when she really has a child from the fourth husband, it really is that the get is nullified and the children from her fourth husband are mamzer. Rather, as Rashi explains, from the fact that we are silent, obviously that he could not have been mavatal. Because we tell him, as the Gemara says elsewhere in Shas, that look, with this doubt, you knew that there's like a doubt over here, until you're divorcing her. So you don't really care about her, and you concluded that you're going to divorce her. So essentially, the Gemara is back to the question. So then, she should be allowed to claim from her third husband a ksuba, because he obviously could not say, "Hey, be quiet," because then that means the get will be batal b'nem mamzechem. Because if he doesn't say it, we should say it then. Obviously, that his intent was, even so, he's going to divorce her, even outside our suffix. So if he doesn't have that claim, so then why can't she go to the third husband? Obviously it wasn't me, obviously it was you. So it says the Gemara, Ella, rather, if we could exempt him from giving her the ksuba, the reason why we'd exempt him would, because Amina we could say, Hashtahu davar yasa. We could say that it's only now that she became healthy from her illness. Meaning, really, the truth is maybe, since it was already a third of charm, that really he does not have to give the ksuba because it's her. She's having a child from the fourth husband. No, now you got healthy. Sometime you fed your microbiome, and you went on some trip in the Himalayas. I don't know what you did. And you get healthy now. You can have a child, but that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that originally it was you because we had a chazaka. So therefore, that's why we could say that he would not have to give it a ksuba from that third time. Now Taisa explains that this is the bottom line on the Taisa. He says that this next part of the Gemara is talking about that when she was with the third husband for 10 years, which is going to like from Leil, who says that 3 times the chazaka, which because the maskana, the sugi is like him. So based on that, that's what the Gemara is going to discuss right now. So who Amar Mina? So the husband says that we don't have any children, we're getting divorced, they're disagreeing about the ksuba. So he says that she has a privately known physical problem. And he says, I know that it's because of her, that we don't have children, so I'm not going to give the ksuba. He says, no, it's from him. He has a privately known physical problem. So Amar Abami, he says, intimate problems that no one else really knows, Nemena, she's believed to say that it's his problem. But what's the reason? Because she is intuitive to know if he is shooting like an arrow. He doesn't know if his semen is shooting like an arrow, which is Rashi says. Any semen does not shoot like an arrow. The Gemara tells us, Chagiga, it cannot seminate, cannot create a child. So only the woman is discerning enough to know this fact, and therefore she's believed and he is not believed. Now, however, Amar Ihu, let's say he says, Ezel Insavitsa says, look, I'm going to go get married to another woman. I'm going to check myself out, and we'll find out if I can have a child. It's you. I know you're the one that has this problem, not me, because I'm going to get married to another woman and you'll still have a child. So Barami says it's not even a good option to do that. Even with that, he'll have to give a ksuba to this woman. Why? Because he says, I say, says Rabami, there's another reason, there would be another problem why you would have to give a ksuba. Because he holds, anyone who marries another woman in addition to the woman that he has, she has a right that you're to be eating ksuba, that he has to divorce her and give her ksuba. Because you can't just marry another woman without the first woman's, the way that she agrees with her consent. And since she's not in agreement over here, so you would have to give a ksuba anyway, because I'm marrying another woman. So you can't say, oh, I'll check myself out. Because if you're going to do that, you'll have to give a ksuba for marrying a woman on the first woman anyway. To which Rava disagrees, says, no, the person allowed to marry as many women as he wants to, in addition to the wife that he has. But as long as he has what to feed them and to support them, then he could do it. So according to that, the person would be able to make a claim that, okay, let me check myself out with another woman and see if I can have a child. Now, relating to the halacha of the Mishnah, we had mentioned, the Mishnah said, V'mhipilo, we said that it's a period of 10 years we see if a man could have a child or not. Now, if she miscarries, we said, we count from the miscarriage, meaning you start over the count of the 10 years. Now, let's say, says the Gemara, Hu Amar, when we're coming to force him to divorce because it's already been 10 years, he says, oh, Aflas B'goy Eser. She actually had a miscarriage during the 10 years, so it's not time to divorce her yet, because the Amar, she says, not true. Loy Aflas says, I never miscarried. I'm just an akara. I'm sterile. I can't have a child. I never miscarried. So Rabbi says, so she's believed. Why? Because it was true that the woman had a miscarriage. A woman would never make a chazaka regarding herself that she is a sterile woman. A woman would never want to say that about herself. And therefore, if she's not agreeing to say that it was a miscarriage, then she's believed to say that she's an akara. Now, let's say another case. Let's say a woman miscarried. And then she went and she miscarried again. And she had a third miscarriage. So Huchzikul in the farm, she already has a chazaka for miscarriages. And he divorces her and he gives her a ksuba, because maybe he doesn't merit to build from her, meaning he has to divorce her, because she's muksik to be in the farm. He has to give her a ksuba, but he has to divorce her. Now, Hu Amar Afela Trev, he's saying it's not true. She only miscarried twice, so I'm not going to divorce her because she doesn't have a chazaka of miscarriages. She says, no, true, I actually had 3 miscarriages. Some of Bishul ben Elazar says, was such a story in the base of Medrash. They said, she's believed, and therefore we force him to divorce her. Because as Rashi explains, it's not that she's claiming gerushin, which Taisa discusses many different cases where we don't really, do we trust a woman, do we not trust a woman? Maybe maybe she's really looking at another man, she really wants to get with someone else. So she's not really claiming divorce, it's just that we have to force him to fill him into peribia. And if she really had miscarried 3 times, she's already muksik that she's never going to have a child, she's going to keep on miscarrying. She just doesn't have the ability to go full term. So she's saying that it was 3 times, so she's believed. Why? Because the Misa, if it's true that she's not miscarried 3 times, a woman would never go ahead and create a established pattern by herself that she's someone who miscarries. And if she is saying it, then we're going to believe her because she would never say it about herself. Look at the next Mishnah, continuing this theme regarding a peribia of having children. So Ishmael peribia says the Mishnah, a man is commanded on the mitzvah, the first mitzvah, the Torah of having children, of being fruitful and multiplying. But not a woman. That wasn't explain why would a woman not have the mitzvah peribia. He says regarding most of them, it says the pasuk Bereshit. He disagrees. The Torah says on the both of them, Adam and Chava, by Baruch Eisim Elikim, God bless them. But Yimalahem, he says to them, Elikim prudavu, be fruitful and multiply. So you see that both men and women have the mitzvah of having children peribia. Says Yimam, what do we know? Like the Tanna Kama said, that the mitzvah is only on men. Meshech Chachma says is women don't need to have a mitzvah because they will intuitively want this. The women will go through childbirth and the pain and that's what mitzvahs really are. That's what Dr. Tversky says. Always is that they wanted him to go through psychoanalysis, and because you were psychoanalysis, he says, I don't need to have the Torah. I know what I don't want to do. I know all the challenges that I have. Everything a mitzvah is to try to get you somewhere. A woman doesn't need a mitzvah because she intuitively and wants to do it on her own. So it says, but where do we know this idea from? That it's only men, not women. So Rabbi Shloimy says, the pasuk says, fill up the earth and conquer it. Now, Ishtar Kilchavish, a man, his path, that's what's considered it's lesilbash when a woman's wearing that of armor or something, because a woman's not. She's the women leaders are very different than men leaders. They're not the alpha males. The man is the way of conquering, and the woman does not conquer. And we see that's an element. That pasuk is there in the mitzvah Pirivya. That's a form of conquering stubborn earth by having propagating it and conquering it with children. So that's only for men, and it's not the way of women to do that. Says Gemara, Adrab, to the contrary. The pasuk is actually in the plural. V'chibshuha. It sounds like that they shall conquer it, not v'chibsha. Some not Yitzchak. He says, yeah, but v'chavshaksev. It says in the way it's written, it doesn't have a vav. We pronounce it v'chibshuha, but it's actually written without a vav to tell us that only the singular, the man who conquers, he has the mitzvah but not the woman. Rishon Mahachi brings a different source. He brings a pasuk by Yaakov Avinu. Hashem says, Anikel Shakai, that's God's name. Prerevei. Now, it didn't say in the plural for the wives, only to Yaakov, Prerevei, which is singular, and therefore that's how we know that it's only on the man and on the woman. Now, Taisa says, I by Adam Rishon, it says in the plural, so it says that's a bracha ba'alma, that was not a mitzvah. Another teaching from Rabbi Shimon on this topic, actually a different topic. Kshem shemitzvah, as I actually gave this shiur on Shabbos on regarding the mitzvah of teichacha. When do you give teichacha? When do you not give teichacha? Because it was in last week's parsha. So this is actually one of the very important principles on this line. Kshem shemitzvah l'odem le'madav anishma. Just like it is a mitzvah to say something that will be heard, like it says the pasuk Yikri Yates V'chech Techiach, which is the last week's parsha. You should give rebuke. To give rebuke to whoever will receive it. So to the mitzvah on the person not to say something that will not be heard. Someone asked me this morning, he said, I missed your shiur. He said, I want to know, I was in the cleaners, I see a chashuv looking person speaking to someone inappropriate for like 10 minutes. I said, what I said, it depends. What do you think the person's going to hear? I mean, you have to know. If the person will hear, you have mitzvah dechacha. But if not, there's mamash the Gemara. I wasn't quoting him this, I was quoting him one of the other of Mutar Shir Shegim Al Yimazidin, which is another one of the important principles. But yeah, if a person's not going to listen, then the mitzvah a person not to say something that will not be heard. Rav Abaye says actually a chayv, it's actually an obligation not to say if it's not going to be heard. Shema says in the pasuk in Mishlei, Al toichach letz, don't rebuke a scoffer. Pen yisnecha, maybe he's going to hate you. Give rebuke to a wise person and he'll love you. Which you have to say the pshat from the Piyasetzner, because he says, Al toichach letz. He says, don't rebuke someone that lets you're a oizvav. Pen yisnecha, then he's going to hate you. Tell him, you're chacham, that's yemamish. People like you, be a merka, then he'll love you. So you have to know how to say it. It's taka usher to say something in a derogatory way to someone that is a letz, because it's not going to let they hate you, but give it to someone with love and say, people like you, you're wearing a tie like this, how can you do stuff like that? It's and then he'll love you. Another teacher, he says, it's permitted for someone to change the truth because of peace. Like it says the pasuk in Bereshis that the other brother said to Yosef after Yaakov passed away, your father commanded, etc. This is what you should tell Yosef, son of a gomer, you should, forgive your brothers. Now, as Rashi says, Yaakov did not command. It's just they changed it because of Dar Hashem, because of peace. And Nosnami says actually it's a mitzvah. Not only that you could, it's actually a mitzvah to change it. Like it says the pasuk in Shmuel Al, it says, but Shmuel said, how could I go? Shaal's going to hear, but Aguni is going to kill me, etc. And it says, as Rashi brings, that it says that Hashem said to him, okay, you know what you should do? Take a young calf. Tell him you're going to bring a carbon. Hashem is telling him to lie. So we see that it's a mitzvah to lie because of peace. Similarly, the Be'er B'Shmol Tana, God Lashalom, how great is peace, Shabbat Kodesh Baruch Hu Shinabai. Even God himself changed, not that he told him to change. Even God, so to speak, lies. The Mikar, if you could say such a word, he changes. The Mikar, because initially it says that when Sarah Menu said it in a derogatory way, she says, we were promised we can have children. But my husband's elder idol. Well, besides, and at the end, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed what Sarah said to Avram, Ksiv, the pasuk says, why is Sarah laughing? And she said, and I am an old woman. Hashem changed it. So you see that it's a mitzvah, and even HaKadosh Baruch Hu will do that because how great Shalom is. Now the Mishnah said, he said that even a woman is mechuyev in Pir B'Rivir. Now we learned that how is the halacha? So it's a machlekes Amiram in what the halacha is. Rabbi Yechim Rabbi Shuma Levi. Chadam one says halacha gerichem breka, that actually women are mitzvah in Peri. Chadam in halacha gerichem breka, one says halacha is not gerichem breka. So it's Gemara, it says time Rabbi Yechim the Amar that we could prove Rabbi Yechim is the one who says ein halacha. Halacha does not follow, meaning that the women are not commanded in Peri. Why? Because the Yasser Rabbi Vo will come and mishmei did Rabbi Yechim. Rabbi Vo was sitting here saying the name of Rabbi Yechim. That halacha is like a gerichem that women are commanded. But when he said it, the Rabbi Asi turned their faces away to indicate that Rabbi Yochanan never said this. They just wanted to show honor to him, so they didn't want to contradict what he said. But from the fact that they turned away their face, we could prove that Rabbi Yochanan never said halacha gerichem breka, and that Rabbi Yochanan actually was the one who held that women are not commanded per breka. Now, that is a different version of how this story happened. He says. That it was Reb Chia Ba'aba who said it, not Reb Avo, and then Vadrina Reb Ami B'Basapeh, they turned their face away. Amar Papa says, I don't understand. Bishlam Alama, we understand according to the first version that said that Reb Avo, Amar Reb Avo who said it, so we can understand Mishum Kaveh B'Keis because the honor of the Caesar, because like Rashi tells Reb Avo was very close to the government. It's like Muslim Sanhedrin Daf Yomi, so they don't want to tell him anything because he was a very honorable person, well connected, but they turned their face away like the body language. But according to one who says that he said it, why didn't they just tell him? Rabbi did not say this, so that would seem to indicate otherwise. That if they actually held that the halach is not like him, they would have told him. So it would seem like actually that he does hold like Rabbi Yochanan ben Berek. So says what's the conclusion? Could we prove what was the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan if we rule like Rabbi Yochanan ben Berek or not? Says it's being a raya from the following story. Says there was a story from Rabbi Yochanan in the shul in Caesarea, which this story was that a woman was petitioning that she wanted a divorce because she didn't have any children, and as the Rabbi Shloimy explains, that it's talking about over here that we know that he is sterile. So V'Amar, Rabbi Yochanan said, okay, he has to divorce her and give her a ksuba. Says the Gemara, this was Rabbi Yochanan, and we're going to prove how Rabbi Yochanan paskins. Now if you would think to say that a woman is not commanded in mitzvah peri, so ksuba ma'avidita. So what's this that she's getting a ksuba? Like the Shloimy explains that this husband, he's never going to have a woman, never going to have children from anyone else because we know he's sterile. And regarding the woman, she doesn't care because she's not commanded mitzvah peri. In other words, the husband could tell her, if you want to be with me, fine. If not, you don't want to be with me, so here's a get. But why should he give her a ksuba? What's her rights of getting divorced? She don't have the mitzvah peri. So obviously, the Rabbi Yochanan paskin, like Rabbi Yochanan Bereka, that a woman is commanded mitzvah peri. That's what he's demanding, that he give her a ksuba. Says, no, it's not a right. Maybe it's talking about where she's coming with a claim, even though she's not commanded peri, which would give her the rights of leaving and thus getting a ksuba when she leaves. Kahida still coming to Rabbi, like the woman who came in front of Rabbi, and she was demanding that she wanted a divorce. Amrlei, she said to him, Havli ksuba, give me a ksuba. Amrlei said to her, Zil, get out of here. Let me look at this. You're not commanded. You want to leave? Go, but you're not getting a ksuba. I'm not paying. You're leaving, not that I'm sending you away. Amrlei, she said to him, Misibi Dula, from her old age, so what's going to be with, quote unquote, that woman, meaning herself? Who's going to take care of me? I'm not going to have any children, any einiklach. Amar, so he said, kiha vadikafina. So that is a good claim, and then we definitely force the husband to divorce her so that she can have children, and therefore she is worthy of getting a ksuba. Similarly, Hahida, so the Kamid Rav Nachman. There was a woman came in front of Rav Nachman. Amallah, he said to look, Lamifkadis, you're not commanding peri. What do you want? Stay with this man. So Amallah said to him, this woman does not need a piece of wood to lean on when she gets elderly, like to have a cane. And if she dies, doesn't she need a shovel for a burial? Who's going to take care of her? Who's going to be there to bury her? Amallah said, kiha vadikafina. That you're right. With such a claim, we do force, and that's a rech that the woman has, that she wants to have children, even though she's not commanded, and therefore she gets the right of having the ksuba if it was his problem of not having children. Now the Gemara continues with a story with this question regarding if women are commanded at Pebrivia, that Yehuda and Chizkiya, two Mayu. Yehuda and Chizkiya were both twins. How are they twins, even though they were born at a great distance? Because Echad Nikmer Tzurasal said Tisha 1, he finished his pregnancy at the end of 9 months. Echad Nikmer Tzurasal Tzchil Shabbat 1 was finished at the beginning of the 7th month. Now, be that as may, Yehudis was the base of Reb Chia. She was the wife of Reb Chia. Havala Tsar Leda. She had her pregnancies, so the birth was very, very painful, and it was too much for her to have to have another child. So what she did was shani mani. She changed her clothing. She came in front of her husband, the Rav. She dressed up. So Amashi says, like a woman, she says, it's a mifkadah perivit. Is a woman commanded? Today's time you just call on the phone or you text, but in those days you didn't have that. She comes in all dressed up, fashtelt. It says a woman commanded on perivit. So he says, no, he's not looking at a woman. Who's this woman? He says, no. So Azli Ishtish Samadar Karta. So she went and she drank a potion of sterility. She made herself sterile. So at the end it was revealed to the husband that his wife is not having any more kids anymore. Amalai says, Iku, if only that you had not drank and that you would yaldisli chadu karsafiti, you would give birth to me one more wombful of 2 children. Because Amar, like the master said, Yehuda b'Chizkiya Achi, there were 2 twin brothers, and Pazi b'Tavi, don't name your daughters necessarily like that. As the Gemara continues, I'll put it in Aaron's book, maybe. Achvasa, they were twin sisters, and they were his daughters, and they were his sons. And he was wishing, like, I obviously she had siblings, twins, and he wanted like one more wombful. It's like if only that you didn't drink this. Says the Gemara. So is that true? Meaning he told this woman, which was his wife at the end of the day, that women are not commanded to pay. But there's a story. One woman, and she was owned by 2 masters, and one of them freed her. So she's half slave, half free woman. So they forced her master and they made her into a free woman so that she could marry someone else. Now, for the fact that they forced the master, obviously that she's commanded Pebriyabra, and the half of her that's free had a mitzvah that couldn't be fulfilled because the other half of her that's slave, and therefore they forced the master to free her. So how can you say a woman's not commanded Pebriyabra? So no, he says that it's just because she couldn't get married because she was half free, half slave, neither type of personality could marry her, so she was just making herself free for anyone. And then they treated her in a ownerless type of a way, and people were sinning with her. That's why they forced her master to free her. But really, women are not commanded. We shall return to the 6th pregnant sentence of Yevamos, which again spoke about the obligations and the invalidations of those to a person who can marry and not. Thank you to any time for hosting us.